Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have something I am extremely excited about because we've got ourselves a brand new Dino Dream model to check out, and this, as you can see, is the 1/30th scale Giganotosaurus from Jurassic World Dominion. On the front of the box, you can see some really nice images here of the model, and you can see overall it looks absolutely awesome, although I have seen a lot of people showing off images and stuff and speaking about the paint apps and how different they are compared to the original prototype images. So definitely intrigued to see what it looks like once we pull it out of the box. But you can see the box art itself is absolutely phenomenal, like it usually is when it comes to Dino Dream. Their box art consistently is honestly some of the best out there, I would say. You can see over here on the side, again, it does say Giganotosaurus, also has the Giga kind of creeping through the O. And then if we take a look here at the back, you can see some more images, of course, of the model. Another really epic looking shot over here. And again, the Jurassic World Dominion logo. And then, of course, Dino Dream Giganotosaurus. Up here on the top, you basically have that Jurassic kind of silhouette again with the Dominion amber sort of look, and then the same thing over here on the other side. So let's pop this box open and check it out. So first of all, we've got the base, and the base does look pretty nice. It's not really much of anything other than a really nice smooth surface. It does have a nice shine to it, as well as the Jurassic World Dominion logo there. On the underside, I can already see like a really light image here. You can see basically it shows off the Dino Dream Giganotosaurus scale 1/30th limited edition number. This is 203 out of 5,000, so there are only 5,000 of this that will be made, and you can actually see some information on the Giganotosaurus as you kind of move down here. It also states that the gender is male for the Giga from Jurassic World Dominion, and then you can basically see the image of the logo on the other side but in reverse. Pretty nice looking base, and of course we have our Giganotosaurus itself. And let me actually, first of all, let's put it on the base, because why wouldn't we? Yes, it's that foot has a peg hole. Oh, that actually went on pretty nice and easy and smooth. But there is the Giganotosaurus, on the base. And my first impressions, honestly, it actually looks a lot nicer in person than I was expecting it to, because I had seen so many people, mentioning the paint apps and how different they are compared to the prototype images. I'm actually pleasantly surprised that it does look pretty nice in person compared to what I was expecting. Not that I ever expect anything bad from Dino Dream, but the paint specifically on the head actually looks a lot nicer. Like, they have a nice dry brushing they've applied. And that's pretty much what I would expect to see for the Dominion Giganotosaurus. One thing about this one, and it's weird because like the Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus can go either way, because you always see people either giving the Giganotosaurus like a grayish color or a greenish color. I always assumed it was gray, but I still consistently see the greenish color coming up. I see it sometimes in different art for the Giga. If you look at any of the Mattel Gigas, it's always green. And the Dominion version here, of course, from Dino Dream also sports a greenish tone, although there are some grayish tones included as well. But definitely, overall, the sculpt is perfection, no doubt about that, and the paint apps definitely are a bit nicer than I was expecting, so let's go ahead and jump to a closer look, and we'll check it out from there. Now, as I said, again, the paint apps definitely look, in my opinion, pretty decent overall, but there is a very obvious difference between this and the original prototype, mostly, I would say, in the tone of color. The original prototype had more of the grayish color. The final product definitely has more of the greenish color. But what's cool is, again, the fact that I see so many different, kind of like going back and forth as far as the colors of the Giga. I already have gray versions in my collection, so it's actually kind of neat to now have a very high quality version with the greenish color. But again, as you look up here in the face, I would say the paint apps on mine look pretty decent when it comes to what we have going on here in the face. You can see a nice mixture of colors with lighter and darker shades of greens. Mostly just greens I'm seeing here, but you can see they've definitely applied a nice dry brushing that highlights a lot of the scale detail through the course of the entire face. You can see more of that here on the lower jaw. Absolutely phenomenal looking sculpt. The scale detail looks incredible everywhere you look. A good bit of variation. It's also really crisp overall. You can also see the nostrils sculpted out right there. A little bit of like scars right there. And this thing is absolutely loaded with scars, just like the Giga is in Jurassic World Dominion. I also love the paintwork here for the eye. Look at how nice the eye paint is for this. That looks absolutely awesome. Probably the nicest painted eyes I've seen on any Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus so far. The mouth is obviously sculpted in an open position. You can see the skin stretching here. There's even a little variation of color to the skin stretching, as well as it kind of looks like there might be a slight reddish wash that's been applied, but I can see like pink and purplish tones right there. We obviously have the tongue sculpted out, kind of has like a nice curve to it, making it look like the Giga is letting out some sort of a vocalization. And I can definitely see, again, kind of like a red streak down the center of the tongue and pink and purplish tones. There's also a really nice gloss coat used for the inside of the mouth. You can see the teeth are also painted, but they're painted with kind of like a dark gray, which is an interesting choice. The lower jaw almost has like kind of like, I don't even know, almost like that slightly translucent look, similar to the way the teeth look for Rebor, but up here on the upper jaw, the teeth are more of like a grayish tone, which is interesting. It's really cool how you can see how the teeth are kind of like basically all over the place as far as the positioning goes. Definitely something you do see on the Giga in the film. You can also see that there's like a broken tooth in there and everything. Really, really nice little details like that always impress me. Let me move the camera back just a little bit because it's hard to actually get him in screen to look at this side of the Giga because of the tail length. You can see that tail's back there hitting the backdrop. But you can see the head sculpt looks really, really nice. And again, the paintwork, honestly, looks a lot nicer on this than I was expecting it to. You know, it doesn't look, like I said, it doesn't look like the prototype did, but when I had seen so many people posting images of theirs and, you know, making mention to the paint apps of theirs, I was a little worried when mine was on its way, but in person, I think it's actually a whole lot nicer than I was expecting it to be. And again, really nice, quite smooth application of the paint. You could see more scars and stuff over here, like right there in the palette. You could see some. You can also see the injury here in the gum line is present right there, and it kind of stripes up toward the eye, which is really cool. They're all painted, and they seem to have like a pinkish tone, which is also nice. Again, the paintwork of the eye is awesome over here as well. If we begin back over here again on the initial side, you can see that we start to pick up the darker tones. You can also see some variation of those tones up here on the top of the head. Really impressive looking skin texture and scale detail up there. As you lead back, you begin to pick those ridges up here. Again, those trademark Dominion style ridges. The scoots also follow along those ridges, giving the back of the Giganotosaurus a pretty heavily armored sort of a look. You've got some nice wrinkling and creasing here in the neck of the Giga as you move down, because it does have its head turned toward its left quite sharply, so you would definitely see some wrinkling and creasing right there. The scale detail continues to look really nice, and you do have some more darker kind of striping as you move down through that area of the neck. You also have like some scoots moving along the center of the throat, moving down here, kind of like a slight brownish tone that's been added in that area as well. Even more dry brushing here on the underside of the lower jaw. As you continue to move back, you do see more scars and injuries and stuff, some of which may not specifically be scars, like they may be more recent injuries. They have like such a almost a disturbingly realistic flesh tone going on in there, but I can also see like reddish tones and stuff throughout that kind of make it look a little bit bloody. When it comes to Dominion style Giganotosaurus, they're probably the most realistic looking injuries and scars that I've seen as far as the paintwork goes on any version so far. You can also see again more really impressive scale detail. We continue to have that dry brushing with the darker tone, making the detail pop. More really nice subtle darker tones have been applied, again obviously with an airbrush. As you move down, you can see the elbow sculpted out, more variation of color moving through the course of the arm. You have like those scoots moving along the back of the arm. Again, the nicely sculpted hands right there. You can see scoots moving down the hands, and the fingers are also sculpted nicely. The nails are painted with a like a dark gray, it looks like. Moving back into the stomach region, you can see a few more creases and stuff down here in the lower part of the stomach. More really vibrant scale detail, really smooth, again, kind of patterning as you move through. As you lead back up here into the larger spines here, moving along the back, those large ridges, you can see that there's like a brownish wash that's been applied in a few areas, which is pretty interesting. I actually like that addition as well, and you can see it just kind of move through quite a few different areas of the back of the Giganotosaurus. You can also see it lighten ever so slightly to a lighter tone as you move along the tips of those ridges. You can also see again that we've got the hip bone right here, more of those armored scoots moving along. There's some nice muscle definition in the thigh as you move down, more scoots kind of moving along the front of the thigh. Again, tons of scars and injuries throughout. You can see they're pretty much everywhere. They're all painted really nicely, but in similar fashion where we have like pink and reddish tones, even purplish tones actually, I think I'm seeing on a few of them. And then as you move down, you can see the kneecap right there, the calf muscle, another injury right there on the calf. More nice dry brushing has been applied as you lead down into the foot sculpt. The foot sculpt also looks really good. You've got some nice scoots moving down the toes. The nails again painted with that dark gray, maybe even a black actually, maybe. It kind of looks like a pavement gray for the most part. You can see the dew claws are also sculpted out and again painted. And then we move back up here into the tail. We lead out through the length of the tail, and you can see again some more injuries, even areas where there's like a chunk taken out of the back of the, like those ridges moving along the back. And look at how nicely, again, that is painted. It looks very realistic here in person. And then as you lead out, you continue to see that brown wash showing up, moving along the back of the armored area of the Giga. More really nice scale detail as you move along, more nice dry brushing. You have like a striping effect with the patterning moving out. Another injury right here, which is a pretty significant one. And then another chunk taken out of the back of the tail here as you lead out toward the tip of the tail. Very crocodilian like tail for this one as far as the overall appearance. And you can see again we have like that brownish tone moving along the underside of the Giga as you lead along. Again, just some slight variation of color. I almost even see like a slight pinkish tone showing up in the lower part of the stomach right there, which is pretty cool. If we lead back over here to the opposing side, you can see more striping and stuff as you lead along. You can also see more really nice dry brushing and again like that lighter tone popping nicely when it comes to the way that those scales have been dry brushed out. As you lead down, you've got some more injuries leading into the body. Again, more of that dry brushing technique, more really nice patterning moving through. You lead down, you can see this arm is outstretched more so than the other arm is, and then you lead back, you can see how the leg is taking a step forward as the Giga is again kind of just walking along. More injuries, you've got injuries here, injury right there, more injuries all throughout. Again, it is absolutely overloaded with scars and injuries and stuff. You see more of that brown wash up here on the ridges, and then you lead down, you've got a few more chunks taking out of the leg here as you move down. Again, really, really nice looking foot sculpt as you lead down to the toes of the Giga, and again the nice dry brushing that has been applied to those scoots to highlight those. And then you lead back up again, you've got all of the injuries on this side that you can see, even more I would say on this side of the tail. Like this side of the tail is really beat up, like it's definitely seen better days. Obviously this is a very confrontational dinosaur that clearly has been through a war or two in its day. But again, I'm actually really quite impressed with this one. I was, like I said, a little bit nervous after I had seen so many people mentioning the paint apps of theirs, but in person, again, I think it's actually a whole lot nicer than I was expecting. As far as a size goes, for a length, it is definitely quite large. You are looking at a little over 17 inches, heading towards 17 and a quarter, or about 43.5 centimeters. And again, it's very, very sizable. As far as a height goes, the highest point, I guess, would probably actually be the spines back here. So you're looking at around 6.5 inches, or I'd say about 16.5 centimeters to the top of the ridges here. Oh, actually, this looks like it might be even a little bit taller. That's more closer to 6 3/4 inches. I would actually say that probably, it's possible that the spines in the back are just a little hard to judge because I have to hold the tape measure a little bit further away because the leg's kind of in the way. But here in the neck region, it looks like it's closer to 6 3/4 inches, or around 17 centimeters in height. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our Giganotosaurus. And you can see, again, it's definitely quite large, definitely quite sizable, probably the biggest as far as the officially licensed Jurassic models so far to come from Dino Dream. And then when it comes to the comparison that I think most people are probably waiting to see, we have the Dino Dream version next to the Nanmu version, and you can see this is exactly what I was talking about. So you look over at the Nanmu version, you have the grayish version, the gray and like browns, but then you look at the Dino Dream version, you have the green version. So I actually kind of like the fact that this one turned out to be a a little bit more green. Of course, I would have certainly enjoyed it looking exactly as it did in the prototype images because it looked so spot on and perfect to the way I personally believe it's colored. But again, like I said, you always see like 50-50. You either see it with the gray and browns or you see it with like greenish tones. So it is kind of neat to just now have a different color version that basically like completing the entire versions of the Giga. I have like the greenish type color scheme and I have the gray and brownish type color scheme with Nanmu. So pretty cool to again have two different versions, but as you can see, the Nanmu version is a little bit bigger than what we have for the Dino Dream version. The Nanmu is just a bit taller, bulkier, a little bit of a larger version there with Nanmu. Now obviously there is a massive size difference here, but we have the Hammond Collection version of the Giganotosaurus next to the Dino Dream version. But what I really wanted to kind of point out was the similarities as far as the colors go between these two, because obviously you can see again the greenish tones are on both. The greens on the Dino Dream version are a little bit more vibrant than what you see on the Mattel version, but obviously this is what I'm talking about when I say that there's always this like green version of the Giga you see popping up. So again, that's kind of what we have with the Dino Dream version. Now I'm kind of at a little bit of a loss as far as other figures to display with it, because I already had shown you the Nanmu version, and there's like the only other one that I know of on the market right now as far as Jurassic World Dominion Giganotosaurus that are similar to this, that are high quality, would be the Prime 1 version. And I have mine pre-ordered through Big Bad Toy Store, and it still has not shipped, which is crazy how long that's taking. But so I don't have that one here to compare. But here is another random. We've got the Beasts of the Mesozoic Eutyrannus here next to the Giga, which you can see the Giga is a little bit bigger, a little bit longer and bulkier than the Eutyrannus, but they're not too far off as far as the size. Continuing with just totally random figures, we've got a Mojo Fun T-Rex, which is obviously a good bit smaller. A Mattel Velociraptor and Dilophosaurus for yet another comparison. A Bullyland T-Rex as well for another comparison. And then just for one final comparison, just for a temporary stand-in until the Dino Dream version of the T-Rex releases, we have the Nanmu female Rex here next to the Giganotosaurus, which you can see these two are actually very similar in size. So if you do have the Nanmu Rex, you'll have a very good idea of the size of this Giga from Dino Dream. But again, there is a Dino Dream version of the T-Rex coming out, as well as the Therizinosaurus, so at some point we will be able to complete the final scene of Dominion with the Dino Dream models. So this brand new Dino Dream 1/30th scale limited edition Giganotosaurus is actually pretty darn nice in person. Again, I have seen a lot of people making mention of their paint apps and how they weren't very happy with theirs, but I'm actually pretty darn happy with mine. In person, I feel like the paint apps are a lot more lifelike and a lot better than I was expecting due to all of the people and again posting images of theirs and the comments that I had been seeing. I think it's honestly better than people are giving it credit for, especially mine here in person. I don't know if maybe mine just turned out a little better than others, but even the paintwork of the face I think looks a lot nicer on mine than I was expecting. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the tones of color are definitely quite different compared to the original prototype. It's definitely, the original prototype was more of a grayish color. The final product definitely is more of a greenish color. But like I said earlier, you kind of see it always portrayed in either green or gray. So I'm actually kind of excited to have this with the greenish color now. So I have like both versions of the Giganotosaurus in my collection. I really don't know where the greenish tone originated from, because I really feel like it's more gray in the movie, but there's obviously got to be some reason why you keep seeing it pop up in greenish tones like throughout the course of the entire Mattel line, even up until you get to the Hammond Collection version. It's always portrayed in greenish tones. Maybe it's just too hard to really tell in the film, and it does have a green tint to it. I don't know, but again, I now have the grayish version as well as now a greenish version through Dino Dream. But I think the actual paint apps of it are really smooth and naturalistic. They've done a pretty good job of bringing out a lot of the detail throughout, again with the nice dry brushing techniques. The wounds throughout are really nicely painted as well. I love the fact that they've applied variation of color, as you could see pink, purples, reds and stuff, giving it kind of like the look of some being scars, some being open wounds. definitely the most scarred up version of a Dominion Giganotosaurus that I have here in my collection, and probably the single most screen accurate as far as the sculpt goes. Like, it looks exactly as it does, and I feel like you won't find more screen accuracy with any other company than you do find with Dino Dream when it comes to the sculpts. Their sculpts are always exactly, in my opinion anyway, as the dinosaurs look in the film, and a lot of the time it's because they do have access to the original SWS data, so I don't know if that's exactly where they got this one or if this was sculpted by them, but I do know that this looks exactly as it does in the film, so they absolutely knocked the sculpt out of the park, and the detail is really vibrant. I still love the paintwork of the eyes on this one and the way that the gloss coat shines so nicely. But again, it does have a lot of realism to it, really smooth, naturalistic application of the paint, and an absolutely out of this world sculpt. So if you are interested in grabbing one of these and adding it to your collection, you can grab one through Lana Time Shop if they are still available. I think they are, so I will include a link in the description to where you can grab it from Lana Time Shop and add it to your collection. Make sure if you do want it, you get it as soon as possible, because again, being a limited edition, it's not going to last that long, especially being a Giganotosaurus, which is a very popular dinosaur. So make sure you check that link, go grab this if you'd like to add it to your collection, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.